Hello, good afternoon, and thank you for attending our webinar this afternoon. My name is Sarah Milenich, and I'm the Senior SQF Sales and Marketing Manager here at SQFI, and I will be your host for today's webinar. First, I want to start off and let you know of our normal webinar protocol. To let you know, this webinar is being recorded and will be posted within 2 to 3 business days on our website and our YouTube page. So please check back in the middle of next week for the recording of the webinar. Also, we will be taking questions after the presenters speak today. If you noticed your chat box in the right-hand side of your screen, you can chat in your questions, and we will be fielding over the questions to the presenters. With that, I have a few SQF updates that I wanted to let everyone know about. Seems like we might be having some...
There's an issue with the image, but you can... There's nothing I can
try to go back and go forward again.
I think it's something with the presentation file, how I uploaded it.
Okay, so moving right along, sorry about that. Sorry about the image distortion. The rules and implementation of the Food Safety Modernization Act are on everyone's minds. Sorting through the FDA FSMA final rules can be a time-consuming and confusing task. We've put together our FSMA resource page to help you understand the legal and regulatory complexities of FSMA while alleviating some pain points that our stakeholders are struggling with regarding implementation and execution. In addition to the comparisons the Atchison Group did for SQFI of the preventive controls for human food and the produce safety rules to the elements of SQF Level 2 certification, we are very excited to announce we have released our voluntary preventive controls audit checklist and guidance documents for stakeholders to use as a guide for identifying the necessary steps to bridge any gaps between a company's SQF program and the PC rule. It is important to note, however, that using these documents does not guarantee compliance, nor does it absolve the supplier from ensuring that they meet all aspects of the FSMA preventive controls rule for human food. With this checklist is voluntary, while the checklist is voluntary, it will not be scored. It is a valuable tool to help suppliers identify and understand any differences between the SQF program and the PC rule. We are having a webinar to go over these documents and how to implement them on September 27th. Check SQFI.com, our events page, for more details and to register. We have solidified dates and locations for our 2016 Information Day series. The SQF Information Day is a day-long face-to-face informational seminar designed to introduce food suppliers at all levels of the food chain to the benefits of food safety and quality certification. Information Day attendees will leave with new insights, connections, and a clear understanding of how they can implement a food safety and quality program that best fits the needs of their business and the needs of their customers. We are always seeking sponsors for our 2016 Information Day series, and if you are interested in sponsoring one of our Information Days, please email or call me. Introduced in 2014, the goals of the SQF Learning Lunches are to provide SQF stakeholders and other interested parties information on topics that impact the implementation, maintenance, and support of the SQF system. They are also another way to keep informed of industry hot-button issues, as well as strengthening your goals for continuous improvement. We are also excited to announce that the Spanish and Australia Asia-Pacific Learning Lunch tracks. Spanish tracks are recorded in Spanish, and Australia Asia-Pacific Learning Lunches will be done at a time and in a language that is specific to their region. We have some additional learning lunches yet remaining for the rest of this year, and we are trying to get to that slide. We are having a Step Up to Quality on September 15th, preparing for FSMA the SQF Way on September 27th, and some information about our edition 8 of our code, November 9th, after our conference. So visit our events page to sign up for those. We have one more professional update class left this year, actually 2 more. We were having one at our annual conference in October, and the other professional update is in December. And our professional updates are a 4-hour webinar, and the updates are topics that are covered typically include updates to the SQF program, current results from the compliance and integrity programs, training program updates, enhancement to the SQF assessment database, a GFSI benchmarking status report for key modules, and the status of key SQF documents. We have no more auditor trainings this year. We are doing a systems training course at our conference, so you can seek our conference webpage for that. And because SQF trains all of our auditors, we have 2 specific auditor trainings that we do. One is a packaging auditor training class, and the next slide we'll show is the ethical sourcing auditor training. Right now, our next ethical sourcing auditor training is scheduled for our conference in October, and we are still working out dates for the packaging auditor training class as well. As you can see, we've been out and about quite a bit already in 2016. This list is a detailed list of all the trade shows and of just a few meetings that we've participated in and will be at this year. Our next big annual or big trade show is going to be the PLMA Summit. That's the Private Label Manufacturing Association Expo, and that's in November in Chicago. And please save the date for our SQF conference, October 25th to the 27th in Orlando. This is designed and developed by your peers in the food safety industry. Our annual conference provides a unique and valuable opportunity to gain knowledge and strengthen your skills for your food safety and quality assurance programs. The conference will increase your ability to protect your customers, branding, and your bottom line, and ensure that you and your company are fully prepared to implement the SQF code changes that are coming up and at the end of 2016. We have also joined forces with the FMI food safety team and have brought the retailers to our conference as well. We have a suggested retail track for our audience. However, others can attend these sessions as well, so we're very excited about that. SQFI will offer training classes prior to the conference on Sunday, October 23rd for 2-day classes and Monday, October 24th for 1-day classes from 8 to 5. The courses require payment of additional fee, which can be selected during the conference registration process. You may also register for the training class without registering for the conference, but please select the training-only rate and your class. With that said, that concludes my portion of the SQFI events, and I'm going to pass it over to Lindsay Stafford from Eagle Registration Groups. Lindsay?
Thank you, Sarah. My name is Lindsay Stafford. I'm the Food Program and Certification Manager here at Eagle Certification Group. Eagle was founded in 1994. We're headquartered in Dayton, Ohio, with offices in Florida, California, and Washington, D.C. We are accredited for SQF certification by ANSI. We currently hold 2,200 active certificates. We serve 15 countries, and we employ over 100 competent auditors. Eagle has 6 core markets: food safety, aerospace, medical device, health and safety, automotive, and environmental. Eagle's committed to the food industry. We demonstrate this by our involvement in the following organizations. We are on 2 GFSI working groups, the Auditor Competency Technical Working Group, and the Accreditation Task Force. We are part of the SQF Ethical Sourcing Committee. We are active with the American Society of Quality and the Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Division. We hold a co-chair on the IAF Food Working Group and an IAAR chair for the Food Task Force. We are also active with the Board of Stakeholders for FSSC 22000. Eagle has received SQFI Auditor of the Year in 2014. This award is based on leadership, training activities, mentoring, improving auditing credentials, and promoting food safety. We have also received the SQFI Certification Body of the Year Award for 2011 and 2012. This award is based on delivering consistent, globally recognized food safety and quality certification programs based on sound scientific principles, consistently applied across all industry sectors and valued by all stakeholders. Some benefits of Eagle is that our clients have one single point of contact for auditing, scheduling, and certification questions. Our auditors and our staff are required to complete ongoing competency training in their industry. We have over a 40% response rate on our audit surveys with an overall rating of 4.55 out of 5, and Eagle also offers free training through WebEx and presentations. In June of 2015, Eagle required all SQF clients to have an allergen program in place. These were minimum requirements that they had to have an awareness training for allergens, a chemical and ingredient review program, and handling allergens in the lunchroom through effective GMP policies and training. Thank you. And up next, a brief word from Bob Garfield, the Senior Vice President of SQFI.
Thank you, Lindsay, and welcome to everyone. Thank you for participating in this webinar. This is the first of what we hope will be a number of working webinars with ACG. And, you know, the interesting thing about our relationship is that one of the presenters here today, Skip Greenaway, who's the president and CEO of Eagle, was sort of the inception of that relationship. A couple of years ago, he told me about Paul Valder and the Allergen Control Group and said, you know, I think there would be a lot of synergy between ACG and the SQF programs. And it took a while, but it sunk into me. And last year, we got together with Paul and his people, and we decided, yes, there is a lot of synergy and potential upside for working together with Allergen Control Group. And we developed a working relationship and a document that we could work on. And since then, we have established marketing activities and discussions about the two programs and how we can work better together for those suppliers that are interested in doing both. And currently, that is an area that will help suppliers that are interested in getting an allergen control certificate as well as an SQF certificate, because we believe, and you'll hear more about that today, that both certificates can be issued in one particular audit with one individual auditor. So we think it's a good relationship, a good partnership, and we look forward to more and continuing to grow the partnership between the Allergen Control Group and SQFI. Thank you very much, and I'll turn it now to Leslie, who will move forward with the program.
Okay, thank you so much, Bob. I'm going to pass the mic over to Jennifer North, who is the Vice President of Beyond Celiac, and she is going to kick off our presentation today. Jennifer?
Thank you so much, Leslie. Thanks for joining this webinar. I appreciate the opportunity to talk about Beyond Celiac and why we value our relationship with the Gluten-Free Certification Program. A little bit of history. Beyond Celiac was founded in 2003 as the National Foundation for Celiac Awareness, and we really had two primary goals. The first was to raise awareness of celiac disease to promote early diagnosis and appropriate management of the disease. We also wanted to ensure that gluten-free food would be affordable, accessible, safe, tasty, and understood. So as the only treatment to the gluten-free, for celiac disease, the gluten-free diet is essential that we can get it in the hands of the people who need it most. So these are some of the brands we've worked with over the years to launch gluten-free programs and bring affordable, accessible food to the people who need it. So our mission is to promote celiac disease as a serious genetic autoimmune condition. You can read the full mission statement here. I just want to point out a couple of key phrases. Serious genetic autoimmune condition, those are the people who need the gluten-free diet most and who require safe gluten-free foods for their health and their ongoing long-term health outcomes. So we primarily do this through early diagnosis and promoting effective management of celiac disease, and food and drug safety is absolutely a key part of effectively managing celiac disease for people who need it most. These are some of our priorities for 2016-2017. We've talked a little bit about the disease already, serious genetic autoimmune disease. We promote diagnosis, and we're focusing on at-risk populations as the best way to facilitate that for our organization. We advocate for food and drug safety within industry and with regulators, and we work to advance a research agenda that will accelerate improved quality of life for our patient community. We do have an extensive reach. We have an extensive reach through mass media, through social media, and through the partnerships that we have throughout the year. So you can see an example on the left of our website, as well as some mass media focus that we have on challenges that college students face when they go to school. So we're very strong advocates in helping to identify the issues the community face, and we approach the relationships that we have to leverage an improved environment, which is one of the reasons why certification is so important to us, so that we can make sure there is an adequate, safe food supply for our community. Just a little bit of basic background on who is eating gluten-free. You can see at the center of the target, people with celiac disease. That's 1% of the population, the people who need the gluten-free diet most, and the people who less than 1 crumb of gluten can cause an immune reaction that could potentially have long-term effects. So gluten exposure causes a range of long-term conditions, which we'll get into in a moment. Surrounding that, you have people with non-celiac gluten sensitivity, which is an actual medical condition, and the research on non-celiac gluten sensitivity is still in its infancy. Unlike celiac disease, there's no blood test for gluten sensitivity, and so it's really up to the individual to self-diagnose, ideally with the help of a physician or registered dietitian, and then to adhere to a strict gluten-free diet. You also have people with other gluten-related disorders like wheat allergy, and then up to 23% of the population are seeking gluten-free foods for other health conditions that have anecdotal symptom relief with the gluten-free diet, or those who perceive the gluten-free diet to be healthier for them generally. So what is celiac disease? I'm not going to read every symptom here, but you can see there's over 300 signs and symptoms. These are the most common here. I've said multiple times already, it's a serious genetic autoimmune disorder, and many within, within our mass media and the social community don't necessarily recognize that. So while there is an understanding of gluten-free, and there's gluten-free has entered our sort of popular culture, not everyone recognizes that the gluten-free diet is connected to a serious disease and people who have very serious needs associated with that. So left untreated or mismanaged, celiac disease can lead to infertility, osteoporosis, neurological conditions, other autoimmune diseases, and even some cancers. So there are a continuum of burdens for people with celiac disease. Their diagnoses are often self-initiated because of a lack of knowledge within the healthcare sector about celiac disease and the signs and symptoms. Then celiac disease, once diagnosed, is self-managed. Patients get their diagnosis and they leave the doctor and they're told basically to Google the gluten-free diet. So they go home, they look for information, and they're left to self-manage their disease, which leaves a fairly educated, activist population really looking to take control of their health. And these are the customers that intersect pretty closely with the food sector and with patient organizations that can help to advocate for their needs. So when we talk about that burden, this is a study that was done of perceived burden of treatment for multiple chronic illnesses. So we have celiac disease, hypertension, end-stage renal failure, diabetes, chronic heart failure, IBS. Those are all chronic conditions labeled across the bottom. And you'll notice that the orange stack right in the middle, end-stage renal disease. And a very second close is that blue bar all the way on the left, which represents celiac disease. So celiac disease is second only to end-stage renal failure in the way that patients perceive the burden of their treatment. So when you look at the patient's perception of their treatment, it's pretty astounding that people with celiac disease look at the burden of their treatment, the gluten-free diet, similarly to the way that people with end-stage renal failure view the burden of their treatment, which is dialysis. So we have a lot of work to do together in the food safety world to try and bring the burden of celiac disease down and help patients be confident that the food that they're eating is safe for them. We do a lot of surveying. We have a very huge audience. You can see that this is a survey we completed about 3 weeks ago. We had almost 4,500 respondents. And you can see that on the left, how important is third-party certification in your buying decisions? And on the right, how concerned are you about cross-contact with gluten-containing foods in foods labeled gluten-free, not naturally gluten-free foods, foods labeled gluten-free. And we did this survey about 4 years ago before the FDA had confirmed their definition and requirements for labeling gluten-free. We thought we would see a pretty significant change once there was a regulation protecting gluten-free consumers. It's interesting, we did not see much of a change over time, and you can see that these two graphs, both done within the last 3 weeks, talking about cross-contact and the interest in third-party certification, shows that it's really about 90% of people with celiac disease who believe that certification is somewhat important or very important, and that mirrors the reason why they believe that, because even though we now have a regulation in the United States, patients with celiac disease are still concerned about whether or not foods labeled gluten-free will protect them. So is that fear warranted? We look at people who have a serious disease, they're sick all the time, they get gluten exposure all the time. Is that their perception or is that reality? And we know that that's reality, that there is research behind continued intestinal damage and the continued experience of symptoms for people who adhere strictly to a gluten-free diet. The FDA had asked us, do patients want to live longer or better, as they're looking to look for better treatment options for people with celiac disease. So we asked the community directly, what happens when you get gluten, and do you want to live longer or do you want to live better, which is a little bit of a ridiculous question to ask somebody, because we want to live longer better, just like everyone else. So we received 900 responses in only a few hours, and you can see from these descriptions that the ongoing gluten exposure that patients experience affects them very differently and affects them severely. It can affect their work, it can affect their home, it can affect their relationships, and it can affect their productivity. So these are some of the voices of people with celiac disease. I'm not going to read all of them, but we threw out on social media, we know that celiac disease affects you when you eat gluten. How does it affect you emotionally? Are you still struggling? And we had you can see over 1,500 people sort of casually commented, but we had hundreds of comments on this post. And the essential answer is that people are still struggling. And I just want to point out Diane Smith, whose 6-year-old was diagnosed with celiac disease, and she points out that she used to cry every time she went grocery shopping. And now it's only occasionally, so that's a little bit better. But it's still a challenge. And this person was introduced to celiac disease 18 months prior, but even people who have been on the gluten-free diet 5, 10, 15 years still struggle. So you can see Bonnie on the right. It's been 10 years, and I still struggle. That's why we endorse the Gluten-Free Certification Program, because our community struggles with symptoms regularly, and they have long-term emotional and physical outcomes as a result of that. So it's very important to us that we have the opportunity to support the accessibility of safe gluten-free food. That aligns to our organization as well as promoting best practices within the industry. We want to support a rigorous food safety scheme that shows our community they deserve to be well, and we are putting partnerships in place that can leverage the important best practices necessary to keep our community healthy. We want to support brands that really understand the food safety imperative that's critical to the health of people with celiac disease. And we also want to make sure that we provide an easily identifiable seal on pack that makes buying decisions easier, so we can end the days where people go to the grocery store and cry when they read a product label. Brand benefits of working with the Gluten-Free Certification Program in the U.S. We talked in the second or third slide about the reach of Beyond Celiac that we have in the consumer community, and we bring those benefits to partners of Beyond Celiac who are certified companies, brands within the Gluten-Free Certification Program. So every brand that's certified through the Gluten-Free Certification Program is listed on Beyond Celiac's Sponsors and Partners page, along with the certification logo, indicating which of our sponsors and partners do have that certification. We provide opportunity for product reviews, for social media shout-outs. When we go to food shows, Expo East, Expo West, we visit the Gluten-Free Certification Program brands, and we report live from the field to bring additional exposure to those companies. We also provide 20% off of paid advertising and sponsorship placements to brands that are certified through the Gluten-Free Certification Program, so that you are more easily able to participate in all of the opportunities and benefits that we provide brands throughout the course of the year. So we're very excited to have you learning about the Gluten-Free Certification Program. It's a very important relationship for us and for patients, and I'm going to turn this over to the next speaker. So thank you for the opportunity.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jennifer. Okay, everyone, now it's time to turn it over to Alan from the Allergen Control Group, who's going to give us an overview of the Gluten-Free Certification Program. Alan?
Thank you very much, Leslie. Appreciate that. My name is Alan Rekenek, Vice President Business Development with the Allergen Control Group. And I'd like to thank everybody for taking time out of their valuable morning to participate in this webinar today. We hope that you gain a lot of valuable insight out of it, and appreciate your time today. A little bit about the Allergen Control Group, who we are. We own and manage and administer and market the Gluten-Free Certification Program, which I'll refer to as GFCP through my presentation. We do this in partnership and endorsement from the two leading celiac organizations in North America, Beyond Celiac, who you just met through Jennifer North's lovely presentation, as well as the Canadian Celiac Association in Canada. These names are proudly displayed on the GFCP product package trademark at point of purchase. And you can see down at the bottom right corner, those are the two trademarks that go on the product packaging. A little bit about the Gluten-Free Certification Program. It is an accredited gluten-free industry standard founded on globally recognized preventative food safety approaches for managing the production of gluten-free products, and most importantly, not solely relying on end product testing. The program was developed through consultation with food industry experts, consumer groups, and government stakeholders. These include producers, manufacturers, distributors, retailers, health professionals, product specialists, and recognized celiac associations. The GFCP was developed with the goal to provide brand owners with a true food safety program designed specifically to manage gluten and the risk of cross-contamination at the manufacturing level, bridge the relationship between manufacturers, brand owners, and gluten-free consumers, and be a trusted trademark to help consumers make clear and informed decisions when making safe gluten-free food choices at the point of purchase. The Allergen Control Group is very proud of the formation of the strategic partnership we now have with the Safe Quality Food Institute, and I'd like to thank Bob Garfield very much for his wonderful introduction and explanation of our partnership and what this endorsement means to us as a business, as well as what the endorsement means to those food manufacturers and brand owners looking for a quality gluten-free program. In addition, ANAB, the GFCP is also recognized by ANSI ASQ National Accreditation Board, known as ANAB. Through this relationship, ANAB now offers global accreditation for certification bodies providing audits and certification of management systems meeting the requirements of the Gluten-Free Certification Program. Why we chose to pursue ANAB is for its accreditation programs to provide additional oversight for the delivery of our requirements and standards, thus holding our certification bodies accountable to ISO IEC 17021-1 Management System Operating Standards. Overall, this enhances the credibility of the Gluten-Free Certification Program and effectively contributes to the health and welfare of consumers who have a medical need for reliable gluten-free products. I'd also like to further mention that there's currently no other gluten-free third-party certification scheme owner whose program is held at this high of a standard and oversight. So what is the GFCP solution, and what does this mean for the food industry and those businesses looking for a third-party gluten-free certification? The GFCP is a management system approach to systematically manage gluten as a physical, chemical, and biological hazard within a manufacturing environment. So we treat gluten as a chemical food safety hazard under the GFCP. Presently, it is the only singular recognized model or standard operating procedure in the world designed to achieve freedom from gluten as a regulatory limit or manufacturing threshold. It's a non-prescriptive, which means flexible approach designed to meet and exceed US FDA, Health Canada, as well as international regulations for gluten-free claims. It targets the manufacturing facility's production practices and management systems to reduce or eliminate the risk of cross-contamination at the manufacturing level. It builds accountability within the overall integrated business management systems. It aims to ensure food supply is safe by shifting the focus from responding to contamination to preventing it. So it's a proactive approach versus a reactive approach. It reduces the likelihood of a recall by the successful management of gluten beyond just end product testing thresholds, very important. And it promotes the use of hazard analysis critical control point principles. And in addition, it is compatible with all Global Food Safety Initiative requirements, hence our relationship with SQF. The GFCP standards provide guidance and expectations for an effective gluten-free management system. It specifies the critical control points, critical limits, monitoring procedures, deviation procedures, verification procedures, and records in respect of the processes or product when managing gluten as a chemical hazard. The GFCP addresses sources of gluten in specific areas that include, but are not limited to, GFCP, which are what we call our prerequisite requirements. So this includes premises, transportation, purchasing, receiving, shipping and storage, equipment, personnel, sanitation or pest control, recall, and the overall gluten controls, which can be identified as part of a facility's overall allergen control. The GFCP trademarks positions a market message that a brand is manufactured in a certified gluten-free facility. It communicates to consumers a brand is safe and reliable, thus fostering trust and brand loyalty. It expands potential market for private label opportunities and national brand access to food retailers and food service distribution. And it's regarded by industry, food safety experts, and regulatory officials as the gold standard method for ensuring gluten-free for products. And since making a gluten-free claim is voluntary, the GFCP further supports our customers' efforts to promote corporate social responsibility. So what is the GFCP solution that we offer to businesses? So the GFCP is easily integrated with a dedicated or non-dedicated gluten-free production facility and its existing food safety management systems. So within a dedicated gluten-free facility, there's no gluten ever that enters the facility storage or production areas. Within a non-dedicated or shared gluten-free facility, this is where both gluten and non-gluten containing ingredients are present. Dedicated and non-dedicated production lines operating in the same facility, or integrated production lines are used for both gluten and gluten-free products. So we can certify both of these types of facilities. In terms of audit, there are two types. All GFCP audits are conducted by independent certification bodies. So the audits are third party. All of the auditors are GFCP approved and independent, which is important, following ISO accredited guidelines. Currently, we have 12 approved certification bodies in our program. This includes or represents over 200 GFCP trained auditors globally, and we currently conduct audits in over 15 countries. In terms of the type of audits, there are two types. The first is what we call a combined audit, which can be combined with a GFSI like SQF, HACCP, or any GMP program. So in other words, it's conducted as one audit, so this provides efficiency and cost savings. The second type is a standalone audit, so depending on the timing of your third-party, of your private food safety standard, we can also come in and audit you independently. So these are companies which are, or for companies that are not recognized under a private food safety standard or an audit protocol, and who are seeking GFCP certification. Steps to becoming GFCP certified, quite simply, a facility must apply to the GFCP. When you do so, you'll complete an online facilities questionnaire. Once you do that, you'll obtain the required, a download of the required GFCP technical documents. So this includes our standards and policies, our facilities manual, audit report template, technical releases, as well as the GFCP trademark usage guide. Once you've gone through that process, you would then sign a program license agreement with the GFCP, so our terms and conditions, and this is for trademark use. Following that, you can contact and schedule your audit directly with a GFCP approved certification body such as Eagle. The GFCP gluten-free trademarks, as you can see here, so these are the trademarks to use certification trademark to support brand owners in their communications with consumers looking for a way to identify safe, reliable, gluten-free products they can trust. So the two trademarks that we represent, one for the U.S. market, endorsed by Beyond Celiac, and the second for products destined for sale in Canada, endorsed by the Canadian Celiac Association. So the leading celiac associations promotes, on the trademark, truly promotes transparency and provides brand owners with a meaningful on-pack message. Unlike other gluten-free marks that tend to be generic in look, interestingly enough, consumers, when they look at those trademarks, they don't really know what they represent. Are they third-party? Are they self-declared? So by having the names of the celiac associations on our trademark, we believe that it does provide a true meaningful message, and strategically sets them apart from all other products displaying gluten-free symbols. What are the benefits of our program? Reducing your risk and helping you grow your business. So in terms of risk, we combine stringent science-based gluten-free requirements with globally recognized food safety management systems, again, not relying on end product testing, and help grow your business. So this facilitates key relationships with and between manufacturers, brands, retailers, and consumers. I'd like to talk about a special promotion that we currently have for SQF certified companies. This is in conjunction with SQFI, the Allergen Control Group, and Eagle certification. So first and foremost, you can combine your SQF and GFCP audit. There is a special audit rate from Eagle Food Registrations that they're offering as part of this. And overall, this is to help you gain operational efficiency and reduce your overall, and also I should mention, reduce your overall gluten testing requirements. And any SQF certified company who applies to the GFCP will receive one complimentary copy of Gluten-Free, the Definitive Resource Guide, authored by Shelley Case. She's an international celiac and gluten-free nutrition expert and national best-selling author. This offer is limited and will be available through the end of the SQF International Conference, October 27th, 2016. And as the last piece of business, I'd just like to talk about a couple of upcoming events that we are hosting. The first is GFCP training for industry professionals auditors and consultants, which we'll be hosting at the SQF International Conference on Monday, October 24th. The objective of this one-day training session is to educate industry professionals, auditors, and consultants on the production complexities associated with managing gluten as a chemical hazard and the many hidden sources throughout the manufacturing process. We'll also talk about government regulations and the required customer compliances associated with producing food products with the gluten-free claim. And lastly, how to better understand and prepare or conduct a meaningful gluten-free audit. All participants will receive a GFCP issued certificate, and for those interested in auditing or consulting the course, it includes an examination at the end of the training. Who should attend this session? Those persons currently working with food safety and quality management systems who wish to perform approved or conduct third-party audits in the Gluten-Free Certification Program, and those persons who wish to advise or consult to manufacturers seeking recognition in the GFCP. This includes, but shouldn't be limited to, quality assurance and control managers, GFSI, HACCP, GMP coordinators, food safety and quality management consultants, food plant and facility managers, government and food regulatory managers, and auditors. And lastly, and in addition, we'll be hosting the 2016 Gluten-Free Stakeholder Update and Planning Session between September 27th and 28th in Toronto. This is a 2-day working session full of networking and rich knowledge sharing opportunities. Those who attend will have the opportunities to collaborate, discuss, debate, and learn with other professionals across the industry, including presentations from dynamic industry experts. Together we'll share new insights, valuable perspective, and critical information about the new and future science behind celiac disease, gluten-free products and markets, audit and certification processes, sampling and testing, regulations and enforcement, and more. To obtain information on both the training and stakeholder sessions, we invite you to visit our website. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you so much, Alan. Alrighty, before we get into the last presentation, I just wanted to break up the slides and just ask everyone a quick polling question. If you also look on the right-hand side of your screen, I'm about to open up the poll, and you should see that come up in your window so that you can actually participate. But we just wanted to ask quickly if any of the attendees that are on the call, are you considering SQF certification, and where are you in that process? Looks like everyone's finding the question quickly.
Started.
This is the first of 2 of our poll questions, and we'll have one at the end before we do the open up the session for Q&A for all of the speakers. Okay, so in the interest of saving time, while everyone's finishing putting in their answers for that poll question, I would like to introduce our final speaker, who is Skip Greenaway, the President and CEO of Eagle Certification Group. He is going to be presenting on how to combine the GFCP audit with an SQF audit. So Skip, I'm just turning the slide control over to you, and you have the floor.
Okay. Thanks, Leslie. Thanks, Sarah. Also would like to thank Alan, Jennifer, and Bob for their comments, and thank all of you out there who have taken your time out of a busy schedule, to address, what hopefully all of us can get some value out of this particular new relationship with SQF and Allergen Control Group. So what I'd like to start off by saying is that this is a new relationship between SQF and ACG. It's also a new relationship with ANAB, and it's a new relationship, coming into the United States with the CB community and all of the effort and commitment to deal with that. So from that perspective, I'd like to make sure that everybody understands that, from our being just one CB, and as Alan indicated, there's 12 CBs that have worked closely with ACG. We have been working with the Allergen Control Group for approximately 2 years as we have built our technical support related to their GFCP standard regarding both our auditors and our staff. And I think it's important that everybody make sure that we don't misrepresent it. We have done a few audits for GFCP, but for us, this truly is a new venture that we're excited to start to move a successful Canadian program, here to the United States. And in saying this, I think that it is important that everybody at least can appreciate that we have years of experience in doing integrated audits, particularly in 9001 and SQF integrated audits, as well as integrated audits in the aerospace, automotive, environmental, and ethical sourcing standards. The key, is to recognize and manage multiple standards with similar and different requirements. So as you can see here by this slide, some of those same elements between GFCP as well as SQF are management commitment, HACCP, the prerequisite programs, supplier approval, employee training, traceability, internal audits, as well as validation and verification. So the benefits of a combined audit. We do this for our customers. A combined audit makes for a more efficient audit. Probable reduction in total audit time if done separately. Less time committed by staff for audits, and it does reduce redundancy. These benefits can only work, however, for both the customer and the oversight bodies if our auditors are trained and competent in the standards being audited to. What to expect, with a combined audit. One schedule that includes both standards. Review both requirements when auditing a specific element. For example, employee training, as we know, is in every ISO standard. Specific training topics are defined in the SQF standard in section 2.9.7.1. And I had to write that down because as a non-auditor, I had no idea what that clause was. So anyway, but the most important aspect is the addition training is also, in addition, as you see here in the SQF standard, it also is defined in the gluten-free standard. And our auditors must know both standards. Again, very, very important that everybody understands a combined audit, an integrated audit, it's important that both standards, or 3 standards or 4 standards, are competently handled, by our auditors and our staff people in knowing full well both the requirements that are reviewed for conformance when auditing training. As again, the example, if a separate audit, the auditor would review the training records for SQF one day, and then when they are doing the gluten-free audit, would look at training records again. For those elements that are specific to only one of the standards, it would be audited within the schedule, of the audit. So, standards, audits, inspections related to food, we still have a lot that are just a checklist approach. Here at Eagle, even with a checklist audit, we do a process audit. I think that's important in terms of as we look at the complexities of integrated audits, in terms of that there still needs to be a process, that's followed. And here's an example, again, of part of that process. Interviewing of employees. And again, may incorporate questions about SQF in addition to incorporating, obviously, questions about the gluten-free. Observations. The facility inspection, critical, again, for both standards in this particular case. document review for both standards, record review. So this allows, for a successful integrated audit, the idea that there has to be a defined process. Non-conformances. When a non-conformance is found, it is assigned to the specific requirement. If the requirement is defined in both standards, then it will be issued to both standards. Again, an important point. Separate reports, and I'll get to that in my next slide, but one corrective action plan is acceptable. To me, this is one of the most important points for our customers that appreciate the efficiency that this gives them in their business. So, again, separate reports, and scoring. Again, SQF scored, so the recommendation and audit score is separate because gluten-free is not a scored audit. But even if it was, again, we want to make sure that people understand that the results and the reports, again, are completely separate. Recommendation made by the auditor to CB, and the results are separate. And that recommendation, again, is also separate. The most important point here is you can fail one audit, pass one audit, and fail the other. So, in summary, our customers, our standard owners, and our oversight people, they expect their certification body to have competent auditors and staff in each standard audited to. They want duplication of audit areas avoided. They want similar findings. They want one root cause analysis and corrective action. Overall, just as they are expected to be effective and efficient, our customers, with continuous improvements, they are looking for the same with our industry. With that, I'd like to conclude. Thank you, and I'll turn it back over to Sarah and/or Leslie. Hello?
Okay. I'm sorry. Thank you so much. We just had a tech issue. Okay, everyone. I'm going to open up the second question, which, as Skip said, are you considering the gluten-free certification? All right, that's popping up on the right-hand side. Okay, and everyone found it? Okay, while that's coming in, I'm going to take back slide control and move it forward. And thank you so much to all of our presenters for their fantastic presentations. I think there's been a lot of really great information. Oh, please excuse us. There's a lot of commotion going on at our home offices right now. And I'm trying to multitask. Hang on one second. And of course, if anyone has any questions for any of the speakers, I know it's kind of hard when you're sitting there listening in the middle of the presentations. Here's our thank you slide. Thank you so much. This is everyone you heard from today. And just in case you guys, you digest all of this information and you think of something that you'd like to ask them at a later date, here's the contact information of today's presenters, and then also Sarah Milenich, who's our Senior Sales and Marketing Manager. If you have questions for any of us about any of the content or anything specific to gluten-free certification, you're welcome to reach out to any of us, and we'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have. And let's see, do I have all the speakers on the line right now? Ready for Q&A?
Yes.
Okay.
Jennifer's here.
Yes,
So,
hi.
I'll try to... Oh, perfect. Thank you. Okay, so as everyone was speaking, I was paying attention to when, I guess, the timing of the questions as they came in because they would relate to specific slides. So if anyone chats in questions at the end, I'm going to, we might have to do a little bit of back and forth about who they go to. But for the ones that have already been messaged in as the presentation was going, I'll just go into the chat box and I'll start reading them from there. And I believe the first one actually came in for Jennifer North. Jennifer, when you were presenting, someone asked if you could please say a few words or maybe clarify what you mentioned about your research agenda at Beyond Celiac.
Sure, thank you for asking. What we've learned through the many years we've worked in this field and through convening our International Scientific and Medical Advisory Council in a research summit last year is that what we really lack in able to move the field of celiac disease forward from a clinical point of view is patient data. So because patients get their diagnosis and go on their merry way to manage their disease on their own, there's very little data collected through the traditional healthcare system that can enable government, industry, and patient organizations to understand the needs and habits and experiences of people with celiac disease. There's a big gap in data in understanding the natural history of the disease, the outcomes, the various patient profiles in terms of how symptoms affect patients, long-term outcomes, et cetera. So it's very important to Beyond Celiac that we support growth and development in the field. So traditionally, physician education and scientific discovery, along with the advancement of really high quality of care, happens through pharmaceutical support. And because celiac disease focuses on gluten-free diet as the treatment, there's a lack of support in improving healthcare practices and management of the disease within the ways most serious diseases are conducted. So our research agenda really has a lot to do with collecting patient data and being able to partner with scientists and researchers to advance the field of celiac disease, immunology, et cetera. Thank you for asking.
Thank you. And before I get into the next question, I just realized something that I probably should have said from the start, just in case a few people pop off. I just wanted to let everyone know that this session was recorded, and like we said in the intro, we should have this up on our website and our YouTube channel in a couple business days. We get that question pretty frequently in the chat section, so I just wanted to let everyone know before we got further into the question. Okay. I believe, I thought I saw one of the panelists answer this in the chat section, but just in case anyone else wanted to know this, there was a question that was posed to Alan, and it looks like it's in regards to certification bodies. And the question is, do certification bodies have to be accredited to the ISO 17021 on top of the 17065 in order to provide gluten-free certification services? That was a mouthful for me, sorry.
So, yeah, the answer is yes. So all CBs, so such as Eagle, who are already accredited in both 17021-1 and 17065, they will be required to achieve accreditation in both ISO standards in order to conduct GFCP audits. However, this requirement will be phased in for CBs over the next 24 months. So we have that process in place.
Okay, perfect. The next question down is also for Alan. Somebody asked during your presentation, what category would meat fall under for a gluten certification?
Yeah, so within the GFCP scope categories, of which we have 18, meat would fall under our category number 2, which is processing of manufactured meats and poultry.
Okay, thank you. Let's see, the next one was also for Alan, and it says, for labeling, once we go through this audit, will we be required to send in label approval in order to have the stamp, and then also, or once we've completed the audit, can we put it on all of our labels without sending it in for label approval?
Yep, so all product packaging carrying a GFCP trademark must be reviewed and approved according to our trademark uses guide and cross-referenced, or it will be cross-referenced as part of a GFCP audit process. What we don't do, however, is we don't review ingredient panels. This is ultimately the responsibility of the manufacturer.
Okay, and there's one that came in very recently, and this is actually also going to you, Alan. Somebody asked, is there going to be a change in the GFCP standards and policies due to the combination with SQF? And if there are changes, where can they find it?
Not at the current moment. Presently, our standards, aside from a few minor tweaks that we may make, will be the same moving forward. So anyone who has obtained or wish to obtain our standards and policies, you can do so without expecting any changes in the near future.
Okay, thank you. And the last question that I see in the chat box, I'm going to direct this to Skip, and I believe you did cover this in your presentation, but I'll just let you reiterate. Someone was asking how to get gluten-free certification at the same time as SQF. I don't know if you want to touch on that one more time.
Sure. In this case, the key really ends up being, you know, you have to deal with both ACG and their process, as Alan, you know, took us through in the slides. And then in addition, if a person is not SQF, then there's a specific process that's covered on their webpage in terms of going directly to SQF to start that process. And everything's transparent. The standard for SQF is, you know, out on the webpage. The publication of the certification bodies are all listed there. And again, the benefit for both in terms of getting gluten-free and SQF certified is to do an integrated and/or combined audit, depending on what you call it. And that it will be up to the certification body in terms of making sure that they can have the competent auditor or auditors, depending on the size business and/or approach that they would have, as well as making sure that it's scheduled properly to meet, you know, your satisfaction in terms of your timing, as well as the capabilities of the certification body. Thank you.
Thank you, Skip. And of course, right when I said last question, we got some more questions in. Okay, another one that came up. Somebody asked, is coffee required to be certified gluten-free? That was chatted in a couple times.
Coffee?
Yes, it was coffee.
Yeah, no, coffee is not required to be certified gluten-free unless it goes through a value-added process of potentially adding flavorings or other sources to the product.
Okay, thank you. Another one that came up is finished product testing based on composite sampling and a lot.
Yeah. Go ahead, Alan.
No. Well, so in terms of testing, the GFCP is not a prescriptive program, so we don't prescribe any specific amount of testing that a manufacturer must undertake. However, as part of the audit, the GFCP audit, the auditor will be looking for a manufacturer's validated sampling plan and testing results. So that must be documented somewhere within your procedures.
Okay. And then here's a question that I'm going to pose to the group, but it seems that this also might fit into Jennifer's area. But the question is, for someone who is not suffering from celiac disease, or they don't have a gluten sensitivity, or any related disorders, does gluten cause any health concerns? There seems to be a lot of consumer thought processes around, a gluten-free product means a healthier product. Is this correct? Is this a correct concept, and can you please clarify?
Thank you. So gluten is simply the protein component of wheat, rye, and barley. It's a protein like any other. It is a complex protein, but there is absolutely no evidence that gluten causes problems for the average individual that does not have a gluten-related disorder.
Okay, thank you.